All right, this is a rebuttal to some of the people that commented last night. Uh, the one guy came back, well, you misunderstood me. I only meant to use one toroid coil. Well, if you wind an IF cam or an IF on one toroid coil, you're never going to get the separation that you're going to need to make an IF1, a 2, and a 3. Each IF, the coils are further apart, and that's to give you your selectivity. Your coil will work, but if the stations are too close together, it won't work. It's a bad idea, but you spouted it, and I'm telling you, it's a piece of shit. Your idea is a piece of shit. I did the right design, and I stand by it. Other people have built it already. So anyway, that guy. Now the other guy is starting to, you do everything. School of Hard Knocks. Well, I'm older than you are. I've been in electronics longer than you. I have a wider knowledge of electronics than you do. I've been in more fields, and I was a top. I was a top and the top guy in my fields. Now, what you're looking at here, this is something I designed. It was never available to the public. Way back. Way back. This is an XT board. I believe it's maybe a genuine IBM. That circuit board there, that perf board there, bottom right is a phase lock loop chip. Bottom left is an op amp. Top right is an op amp. Top left is an ADD converter. Now what this does is you take the audio from a shortwave set when it's in sideband and you're on a fax signal, and it produces a tone that changes in frequency back and forth. That gets converted into a DC voltage, which then drives a fax pen. They call it a pen. It's a piece of wire that sends a voltage through fax paper, and the paper isn't thermal, it's conductive, and it burns it, and it forms an image. Now, I built this and designed this circuit before anybody thought of doing it for a computer. There were fax machines, but I built a fax machine into on a computer board, and I used the UART socket, and that became one of my first published papers, which is called Quick and Dirty Data Interface. And you take a serial parallel card, and you take the UART out, and now you can interface your signals. They got to be digital into your computer with some very basic software. Now, a guy in Texas made the software for this that I used. I didn't write the software. I told you that I can't make cement. I'm very bad parking, and I'm very bad at doing programming. I can go into a program and make some small changes sometimes on certain types of languages. But I like the people that don't know my knowledge or don't know what I've worked on and make these comments. And they're insults. They're not even thinly veiled insults. So I clicked on the guy and his picture. He's got no videos, and he looks just as pompous with his fat head as his remarks. I just wanted to tell you that. I like to start things up a little bit. Shango once in a while very nicely mentions that people basically don't watch the video, and then they make a bunch of comments. And Shango's really good. As far as a repairman, I wouldn't say he does do some design. He does come up with rebiasing transistor circuits. He does have some knowledge, but he has a wide variety of repair. You watch him long enough, you'll see that he repairs the circuit boards for cars, the computer boards, and he explains to you what goes bad with the capacitors. He's done his dryers and all. I'm the same way. Yeah, School of Hard Knocks. Well, at some point you have to repair something, and you go and you read up and find much information on that. And it's basically just like going to school. The teacher might steer you in the right direction if you're making a mistake. But after a while, you get good enough where when you're repairing something and you have a problem, and I had a problem. I went to peak the IF can, it went into oscillation. And I put, during peaking or whatever, IF goes into oscillation. I found this guy, and he explained it. And then I cleaned the can, and the chassis, put it together. But this guy made this. Well, aluminum oxide is a great insulator. Well, I sort of mentioned the oxide causes the problem, didn't I? I showed you a can with the oxide on there. It's called, some people call it white rust. I did everything in that video, but this guy just watched the video long enough to dump his comments. And of course, anytime someone does that to me, I click on their picture, and there's a fat-headed asshole. Okay, that's how you put it. And I just got done the day before mentioning these guys. They circle the world. They don't put themselves out there. See, do some videos. And that one guy did that to me. He kept saying, "Well, yeah, 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 yeah." I said, so I clicked on his picture, and there was no videos. And then the guy, well, I don't know how to do that, right? Yeah, okay, I do. You don't. There's another area I know that you don't know. I know these guys have limited areas that they're good at. I'm more of a wider variety. I go into an area I've never been in. Like I said, taking that tuning capacitor apart. You know, that's not repairable. But I'm thinking if it does come apart, I'll go with it. Now I might have to break it open with a hammer, but I work a little bit. I study it, how it comes apart. You know, if I had a couple of them, I just break one open and then see how it's put together. If it's glued, just say forget it. Just forget the whole thing. Now I'm pretty sure it is glued or fused with that ultrasonic tool, and I'm at that point now. It's like, okay, that's it. Now I have to do some cleaning in the house. I have to put stuff away. I've made quite a few messes. And then the one guy was saying how many videos I popped out. I could do that all day long. I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas, and I'm willing to share it with you. You know, the pompous jerk-offs, all they do is come in and they add a little bit to what you already said, which is it's not even needed, and that's it. But I had a reason for building that IF can. I just wanted to show the basic layout and how you could make the IF can using modern parts. All right, and I did show you inside of some IF cans, or as I did the radios, eye candy I called it. I covered this stuff, but of course the big mouths, the fatheads, they don't watch videos. They just like to put their own words out there on the internet, and they do it to Shango. And every once in a while he makes some comments. You know, they don't watch his video. They just get an idea of what he's doing, and then they spout, and then they dance to the next conference. You know, with their floor chimes. They're usually overweight people too. I just want to pick on them because they are insulting. They go through the world insulting other people because they think they're so smart. But if you really want to show everybody how smart you are, do a few videos and see how hard it is. I can get up here and I could just talk to you. I don't have to edit. And other people, their videos are edited so much. It's hilarious. It's almost like a Saturday Night Live skit where they did have the skit. In other words, the guy edited so many times that every few seconds the guy's head's jerking and tilting because he got to keep redoing it over and over and over. But it's very easy to run your mouth about something. The person already says, I found this, I found it, I read it, this guy did this, he figured it out, I came back after reading it, I did it to my radio to fix it, now I'm passing it on to you. Well, this guy, you know, I mentioned the oxide, he spots that, he just reads a few key words, and then he starts with his crap. And nothing he says improves the situation. We all know that the oxide insulates the can from the chassis. The can becomes an antenna. It interfaces with something else in the radio, and when you peak, it goes into oscillation. So this guy comes around and, you know, aluminum oxide is a really good insulator. You're telling us something we've already figured out. Someone's already figured it out. They passed it on to me indirectly through a website or a conference. I found out it to be true. And I showed you. Now other people, like I showed you how to get the wall warts apart by cracking them using you got to have a hard surface. And another person said, well, this other guy uses a hacksaw blade and a chisel. Well, you know what? My way, the thing looks like it doesn't damage it. You crack it along the seam. You take it apart. You either put the the fusible link in there, and then close it back up and use it, or you continue to take it apart and you salvage the wire. Other people have ways of doing it, but when that guy showed me in the Radio Shack, I was all ears. And he says, you can open this. He said, I knew what a fusible link was. I had dealt with the ones in the Radio Shack CB radio power supply. And you have to drill out 4 pop rivets, and then the case comes off. And there's the transformer sitting there. Well, I have a bad one in my hand. It's going to go in the garbage. So I peel the paper on the big honking transformer. And there's a piece of wire, like one strand of zip wires. It's burnt. It's gone. The person did something stupid, and they burnt that out. Now, there were guys that were taking the transformer out and putting a Radio Shack transformer in that was in the store, and it didn't have the same amount of current. See, people don't understand the difference between current and voltage. You can put a bunch of little pen cells together and make it 12 volts, but it won't start the car. And I had the one kid staring at me. I said, there's 12 volts right there. Yeah, well, that won't start the car. Well, it's 12 volts. No, it won't start the car. It has to have capacity, a certain amount of capacity, amperage hours, ampere hours, and it'll start the car. 12 volts isn't always 12 volts. And what he did was he took a cassette player in the car with his father, and he bought an adapter to go in the cigarette lighter, and the cassette player was like 9 volts, and he used a 9-volt wire for a radio, or transistor radio, and he plugged it into the cassette recorder. When he pressed play, the unit went on fire in his father's car, and then he's telling me it was defective. I said, no, it's not defective. You drew more current from that than it was capable of delivering. And I said the fuse did finally blow, but there was some smoke that came out, and he couldn't understand it. It kept going in that circle. Well, it says 9 volts on it, and the cassette player is 9 volts. Well, it also could be a polarity. You have the polarity backwards. But I'm going to tell you right now, it tells you, if you bother to read what amperage or milliamps you could get out of that adapter. And that went over his head too. And I started explaining each device uses different size batteries because it's drawing more current. You can have a radio that runs on a simple 9-volt battery, and then you have one that needs the big D cells in order to power the boombox. Boombox, I think most of those were 12. So you're not going to use 12 volts worth of pen light cells or AAs. You need the Ds. And some people can't. Well, it's the same volt. No, you got to have the capacity also. And I went through all this with people, and they can't comprehend the differences. And then you got the people that think their shit don't stink. And at one point, I closed the comments off because it was getting really bad. But the best one was a few weeks ago when I said to the guy, well, why don't you do some videos? Well, I don't know how. Well, I do. Okay, I'm doing the whole thing, and I'm putting myself out there. When you put yourself out there in life, there's people that you're helping people, and a person will come along that's never going to help them and tell them that I'm doing something wrong, and then walk away. Now I'm standing there facing the person that I'm helping, and they're like, well, that guy said, well, get him back here and let him fix your car for you instead of me. I'm doing you a favor. I'm almost done. And then the car does work, and they don't apologize. I've learned all this now with people. I understand people really well. The crap they pull. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with bullshit. And the one time the guy, I told you, you take apart a computer fan, and in there's a hole detector, a hole sensor. And I showed you, I made a little picture. This guy come in and says, what did he say? He come in and said, there's a coil in there, and he claimed he designed and built fan motors or something at this company. He was totally wrong. And then I actually opened the fan up. I took all the parts out, and I looked them up, and I got the part numbers. But this guy just shot from the hip, and he missed. He was totally gone. And the whole idea was you take a simple PC fan apart, and you basically salvage that little sensor. And every time a magnet goes past that sensor in one direction, it turns on. Then it comes back the other way, and it turns the sensor off. There's also sensors that will turn on when the magnet's near it, but when you take the magnet away, it shuts off. And I think there's bipolar ones, and the ones that are like in the fan, they click on, and when the magnet comes around, it clicks it back off. And the magnet is a flat, looks like a refrigerator magnet, and it has a cut in it. When you wrap it in there, inside the fan, it doesn't go all the way around. It's not a loop. It's got a split in it. And that's what makes it worse, because on the split, one side is the north and one side is the south. I understand how it works. And I said, you know what, if I understand this, let me show other people. And of course, the idiot comes in, oh, I work in a company, I design those. He didn't know what he was saying. He couldn't dazzle us with his brilliance. He tried baffling us with his bullshit. And I stuck to my guns. And then I mocked him. And then he came back, oh, I guess I was wrong. Yes, you were wrong. Yeah. I went out of my way to take the stupid fan apart, to get the sensor out of there, to set up a little demonstration. And then this guy comes along. I work on those. I design those. That doesn't work like that. Oh my God. So anyway, that's why I am the way I am, because I put up with these people, and I'm always the guy that has to fix something. And I told you, I don't want to fix them. One guy says, well, you keep quitting, but you're putting out all videos. Well, because when I was thinking about breaking open the tuning capacitor, that plastic thing, here it is here. Here it is here. All right. I got 4 bolts out of that. And what are these 2 screws? And I got the back off, and at some point I might have to crack it with the hammer. But as I thought of that, I'm like, you know what? I never told anybody how to open a wall wart, a power adapter, and what was the other word? A charger. Some people call them chargers, which it's in the radio. There are no batteries. But anyway, when I was thinking about breaking this open, oh man, I got to show them that. Somebody showed me how to crack open a power adapter, wall wart, charger, and it's fun. I like to try to remember stuff because I'm really old. And yeah, someone showed me, and I'm like, my mouth dropped open, and then he hands it to me, and it could be put back together with some tape. And I told you, don't go cheap on the tape, the electrical tape. Go around a few times. But I'm like, man, that's going to solve a lot of problems, because people had so many wall warts in their house that what happened was they grabbed the wrong one, plug it into the wrong device, wrong polarity, whatever, and it would burn that fusible link. And now they come in and they want another power adapter. We sold them. And a lot of times it didn't have the right polarity. So I'd say, let me see that thing. And I said, come back later on in the day. I said, I can crack this open. And I did. I cracked it. And I think they would buy me a slice of pizza at Mr. Pizza. Was it Mr. Pizza? Anyway, the Radio Shack in West Bell Plaza, it's not there anymore. It had a pizzeria one door away. And a lot of people would say, do you want any money for fixing the thing? I said, no. Can you get me a slice and a small Coke? Yeah, man. Out the door they'd go. And I had people, when we were near closing, they would drop by with something that they wanted me to explain to them. I told you about us building the power supply. I was in electronics, or I have been in electronics for such a long time. And also, I was in CNC machines for 20 years, designing them and building them with hardware store stuff, gas pipe. In some cases, I used aluminum from a storefront. You'd go get it at a door company. And I did that for 20 years. I know this guy that ran his mouth, you're in the school of hard knocks. I know you never did as many things as I have. And I'm pretty sure I'm older than you are. You're an idiot. And that's all I got to say. These people don't realize who they're dealing with. I'm electronics 24/7. I told you I want out. I don't want to think anymore, but I do. And then like the one guy says, but you just popped out. I popped out 5 videos yesterday. All because one video led to another video, which led to another video. And at one point, the guy toroid coils, and I got out the IF can design, and it's basically a real IF can, you know, and it was floating around here before this morning. Yeah, here it is here. It's nothing more than a real IF can. Today it doesn't want to stand up. Anyway, it's made just like a real IF can. But what's going on is I use modern parts. There it is, the two chokes, and they're dog bone, and they do transmit the field from the coil north and south, just like you need it. Now there is a guy on the internet. He took two chokes, and he put them side by side. That's no. You got to be able to get IF 1, 2, and 3 by moving them further apart. I figured out everything needed. Even the tube it goes in, you get it, it's 1 inch square aluminum tubing. Go look at the video and get it at Lowe's. That was the whole idea. Simple. Well, you should have done it. No, you don't understand. Watch the video. Listen to what I'm saying before you run your mouth. I sat and I thought about this, and this is how there are IF cans made exactly like this, but you can't get those parts. But here are these parts. There's the perf board. Right in the frame. There's the perf board, and it's got rings, soldered rings on it that you can solder to, and that helps hold it all together. I didn't just throw this together. I thought about it for several days, and then once I got it working, I tested it. I showed you I tested it, and then I designed it to fit in that 1 inch square aluminum tubing. That's how it started. That was the first step. What am I going to use for the shield? And then you work backwards, and then you look at other IF cans, and you see how they're designed. And then the last thing was to be able to, you know, because you can move those coils away from each other, you can make IF 1, 2, and 3, maybe 4. You could go that route, all right, and you get selectivity. If you make an IF can using a single toroid, you won't get the selectivity. You won't be able to make a 1, 2, and a 3 without using some trick, probably impedance. It's not going to happen. All right, you're going to go nuts trying to wind that many turns on a toroid coil. That was the other thing, you know. These guys shoot from the hip. They never think of. I did a video on how to wind a toroid coil and the tool. I showed how to make the tool. All right, doesn't realize that. See, he didn't watch all my videos. Some people did, and they're like, once in a while I get a holy shit video comments. It says, holy shit. Yeah, I've been in it a long time, and whenever I see something I don't know, I read up on it, I get into it, I try to understand it fully. And then the beginners that think they know, the people that never build anything, but they run their mouth. I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'm going to do it next week. They don't do any of it. I don't like those people. I've had a lifetime of people promising me stuff that they owed me and they never delivered. I think that's it. That's it for now. But like I said, no one's going to really watch this video. A few people watch it all the way through. There are people out there that they're all bullshit. That's all it is. What was it? I told you in one of the videos, the girls on the night shift. When I started working with them and I was improving the product because I found out that the group leader couldn't see. She's inspecting their work, but she can't see. And she was holding the switches out at arm's length, looking. What is she doing? And they said to me, she won't get glasses. I'm like, you know, your night shift, they're ready to get rid of the night shift in this company because they're making such crap. And she's supposed to be inspecting it, and when it goes wrong, she's supposed to stop the machine or make an adjustment. She wasn't doing her job. And I come along, and they taught me. Now I go on a night shift, and she kept going, that's stupid, and like that, real loud in my face. And then finally, the boss, she kept calling the boss up, and I had turned the product around. It was doing really good. And he called me in the office. She says, do you want me to get rid of her? And I go, yeah. And he got rid of her. Bam, she was gone. And then the other girls come in, And I went around and talked to him. I said, look, I might seem like a bastard. You know, I said, I'm not really mean. I said, just do your job. I'll make sure you don't turn any bad ones out. She wasn't stopping you. When you made a mistake all night long and made 100 bad mercury switches, the next day the day shift would pick on you. It was horrible. And all because the supervisor couldn't see. She needed glasses. I've been through it all. I tell you, man, the stuff I've seen, I could tell you thousands and thousands and thousands of stories, because human nature is real strong, and some people have big egos. I have no ego. I always doubt. Somebody walks up to me and starts saying something, I'll go read about it again, making sure maybe I forgot it. Maybe something happened in my brain. But no, they're usually wrong. Uh, one guy, yeah, I don't know how to make videos. Yeah, go around and pick on other people's videos. I think he was complaining mine were too dark. And one guy complained about the resolution. I got the resolution down because when I upload videos, I have high-speed internet. When I upload videos to YouTube, uh, taking longer than expected. Everybody else is getting the problem also, but really long video, I want to do other things. I need the computer to finish up. I don't want to run two computers. I'm not one computer. One guy said get a Chromebook. I'm not putting any more money into this stuff. I did buy a new keyboard instead of taking it apart and cleaning it. I'm getting tired of this stuff. It's a big freaking circle. And then I said, the people that make comments, they don't help me at all. You know, they come in and they add more knowledge to what I've already done, but it's not needed. They have to do that. And then you click on their name and they don't have any videos, just a stupid face, you know. Yeah, I have a YouTube account. Really? Let me see one of your videos. Oh, I haven't put any videos up. I'm going to get to it next week. You know, sometimes I'm out walking in the park, and little kid is sitting there, and I'm talking to him and the other kids, and I said, yeah, I got a YouTube channel. And they look at this old guy, and they key it in, and it's the park they're standing in. And they're like, holy crap. I go, yeah, I come down here one day and showed all the features of Flory Park. Put in Flory Park, Pennsylvania, and you'll see one of my videos. I really need to do that over because they added new swings and stuff down in there. I think that's it. All right, that's it.